Okay, so here's the main gauge cluster, and one of the things that you'll notice is different right away is instead of having the speedometer be the main gauge in the center, it's actually the tach. And you can see there's a lit up indicator there that says Vdc Off. I believe VDC stands for something like vehicle dynamic control. Basically that's your traction control. I always turn that off when I get in the car, and that's this button down here, Vdc Off. So every time you start the car, you want to push that once to disable the traction control. Now there is a way to disable it every single time automatically by pulling one of your ABS sensors from one of the wheels. The easiest ones to get to are the ones under the hood to the front wheels. If you pull just one of those, it'll disable the ABS system, which also turns off the traction control. So that's what I do when I'm doing a lot of drifting in this car and I don't want to mess with that button or forget to turn it off. I'll just pull one of the ABS sensors. But remember that if you do that and you're on the street and you have to get on your brakes, you will lock them up. They're not going to you know, kick in the ABS and come to a stop without sliding. You will lock the tires up. Okay, so you got your tach there. You can see the red line is just past 6,500, 6,600 RPMs on this 2003 model, and you can see that it has the word rev right below the needle there in the center. There's a shift light right by that, and I'm going to show you how that works. So moving over here to the left, you can see I need some gas. You got the low gas light on, and you got your temperature there, that's normal, and then we have an indicator showing that the emergency brake or the parking brake is engaged right now. And then over here to the right is your speedometer, and it shows your mileage, things like that, and of course the trip mileage that you can reset. And the way you reset that is by holding this down right here until it zeroes out. And these two black dots right here, those are your turn signal indicators. Okay, so that pretty much covers the main cluster there. Now, the awesome thing about 350Zs is you also have this, you know, additional gauge cluster over here in the center. And what you have here is your volt gauge. I'm not sure how well you can see that. Hopefully it's not glaring real bad. You've got your volt gauge, and you've got your oil pressure gauge. And you'll notice this will change as you're driving, because obviously higher RPM, you're going to have more oil pressure, more oil moving through the motor. And then this is the multi-gauge I was talking about, and you can see it says 0 miles per hour, and the DTE is flashing. And DTE, I believe it stands for distance till empty, basically. So you can see I have a digital speedometer here, and that's one of the reasons they put the tach in the center of the main cluster, is because you have the digital speedometer here. And this is pretty much what I always have my multi-gauge set to, the digital speedometer. Okay, but now if I want to cycle through these, I go back to the main cluster here. This is what I push to cycle through the different options, and this is what I push or hold to do different actions on those options. So right now I'm just going to cycle through with this to show you what there is. Okay, so we're moving away from the digital speedometer. Now we've got the digital temperature indicator for the outside temperature, 86 degrees. Okay, that's telling me how many miles until I'm going to run out of gas. That's my average fuel mileage and my average speed. You can tell I just do city driving. I live about not even a mile from my office, and so I probably never break 40 miles an hour just driving to and from work. And very rarely, you know, do I take this car on long trips anymore. So it just kind of sits in the garage and takes me to and from work, and a couple joyrides here or there. Now if you want to reset something like this, you can go back over here and you can hold this lower button, and I'll show you what that's going to do. If I hold that, now it's resetting. And so once you start driving, you can see it's like recalculating. Once you drive for a little while, it will recalculate your miles per gallon and your average mile per hour. Okay. Now, moving to the next one, you've got a timer here and a trip mileage. You can reset that as well. Same thing, you got another one here. And then this is showing you PSI, so pounds square inch in your tires, and you can see DTE continues to flash, letting me know that I'm low on fuel. Okay, so it's saying my front left is on the top, my front right is on the bottom there, and it's telling me that they're at 33 and 34 psi, and this will change. It checks them regularly, so as your tires heat up, you'll notice that your pressure goes up. And then all I have to do is hit this bottom one, and now you'll see it switches from F to R, and it's showing that my rears are at 35 psi each. Okay, so that's the multi-gauge on that. Now if I cycle through, this is the shift light point. So right now I have it set at 6,000 RPMs, and you can change this simply by clicking or holding this. I'm not going to change mine because it's right where I want it. Okay, so I'll leave that 6,000 RPMs, and now I'm back to the 0 mile per hour. Okay, so now to show you how the shift light works, I'm going to go back to the tack, and remember mine's set at 6,000 RPMs. So if I bring the throttle up now, up just under 6,000, it'll start flashing, and then when I go to 6,000, it'll actually get solid red. See how that works? And same thing if you rev it. So again, it will just go to the red right there. Right before 6, it'll start telling you it's time to shift, time to shift, time to shift. If you actually go to 6,000, then it goes solid, and that's telling you time to shift. You're right at 6,000, which is what you chose. So that's pretty much the multi-gauge, and that's the gauge cluster in the 2003 Nissan 350Z track model. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I always have a good time over here in my little parking lot. If you've watched my other videos, the Jeep videos, I always do them in the same parking lot, and it works out really well. There's usually not people around, so I can do whatever I need to do. So anyways, guys, hope you liked the video, hope you learned something from it, and make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe for more. Alright, have a good one, guys.